Welcome back to GBGuns Armory, the series in which we look back through stuff already reviewed in full over on the main channel. All the facts, performance, basic stuff taken care of there. Here, we're talking a little bit about more the feels, thoughts, reflections, what have you after the fact. And today, the Walther CCP. Now, this is an M2 model. They are available in both 9 and 380. I've reviewed both of them in 9 and 380. The M2 updated the takedown procedures to make things a little bit simpler, and they had to be different in the first place. Why? Because the Walther CCP, concealed carry pistol, is a gas piston delayed gun, and you don't see that very often. The famous HK-P7 was one of those, and that's what everyone thinks of, but the Walther CCP is a modern pistol, or was modern. I guess now that everyone needs red dots, it's not modern. It is also single stack. And the 9mm and 380 are virtually indistinguishable from the outside, aside from some very faint markings, which led me in my review of one of them, I forget if it was the 9 or the 380, to have grabbed the wrong magazine. And it must have been the 380 review and it had a 9mm mag, because that does still kind of work. Keep in mind 380 is 9 by 17 millimeter and 9 millimeter is 9 by 19 millimeter. A little bit longer case on your standard 9 millimeter. So if you have a 9mm mag like this, that's how I can tell that this one's the 9mm, everything's fine. In a 380, there's a little, they tend to put a spine in the back of the magazine to shorten things up a little bit for that shorter overall length of a 380. So thoughts on this. First off, the ergonomics are still Walther, still very comfortable to hold. The trigger on it, kind of funky. Not nearly as clean. Now, on video it's going to look different, but I can pull through. This part here is all kind of a little bit of squish and grit, and then it breaks at the end. It is striker fired, but it doesn't recock until... See, that much travel, and it did not recock. It doesn't recock until it gets all the way to the end. Now you can see the striker indicator there. It does have a manual safety on it. The fact that it doesn't recock until you've got full travel could be an issue for limp-wristed people. I didn't have any issues with it. I haven't heard many issues, but I don't think the gun was particularly popular when it came out, so maybe there's not enough inexperienced shooters to have reported that issue. The gas piston delay is kind of a cool concept. I really like it. Essentially, there's a port in the barrel. That port vents some of the gas that's propelling the bullet before the bullet leaves the barrel down into a chamber that has a piston in it. As long as that gas is pushing forward on that piston, it keeps everything sealed. Once the bullet leaves the barrel, that pressure drops, and now that initial recoil can cycle the slide and cause it to operate. In 380, it's very comfortable. 9mm, as I recall, it was a little bit on the snappy side. And I mean, that's kind of what we felt with direct blowback too. It seems like 9mm Makarov, which is 9 by 18mm, is kind of the limit of where blowback is comfortable. You'd think the gas piston delay, since it's not direct blowback, would help a bit. It is still shootable, but between the two, the 380 was fun to shoot, the 9mm a little bit on the snappier side. Also, how much force is on that piston is going to depend on the load. So some of the crazy stuff that we shoot in, like What's for Dinner, is going to have more or less expanding gases depending on how it was loaded and the overall bullet length. Additionally, the velocity of that round is going to determine for how much dwell time, how much time the bullet is traveling down the barrel, that force is in there. Now, it all still works and it's all still safe, but you certainly feel a different recoil impulse each time. Haven't seen a lot on the CCP. It's from the PPQ generation, if you will, of Walthers. I have not seen an updated version yet to follow the PDP lines. Maybe they don't feel the need for it. Maybe the gun wasn't successful enough. Maybe they're going to fix the single stack thing, which, if you're living in a free state, is always a bummer, unless the pistol is super slim and just what you need. But we have to keep in mind that a large portion of America, unfortunately, not by geography, but by population, a large portion of the United States live outside the constitutional United States in places like California, which doesn't recognize your right to bear arms and puts unconstitutional restrictions on magazine capacity and things like that. I feel for those people. I hope that they can either cause a change in their government or escape. I know here in Oregon, there was a absolutely asinine bill that was passed a couple years ago, and even though it was immediately stopped in courts, in fact, the Oregon Constitution's line about right to bear arms is even stronger than the U.S. Constitution. It's still, to this day now, I think 2 years later, getting hit with manufacturers who say, oh, sorry, we can't ship to Oregon, this doesn't have 10-round mags. So the repercussions of that are incredible, and it's I'm going to get off on a tirade here, but here I go. When an elected official supports something that goes against the Constitution, I see that as an act of treason, and I wish the courts and the rest of America did more so as well. Now, there can be fine details that maybe we can't expect everyone to be aware of and tracking on, but there should be at least some sort of constitutional review of a law before it's even suggested, let alone voted on, and definitely before it's enacted. Absolutely ridiculous what our country is coming to. That's my rant for the day, all inspired by the Walther CCP. I'll, of course, link to the original full reviews from the main channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.